What's happening, guys? It's episode 2 of the Stadia Source Roundtable. How are you guys doing?
All good, all good.
Outstanding as normal.
Could be
Ash,
worse.
how you doing?
Could be worse.
Doom and gloom as always.
That's how it's going to be there.
Somebody's got to bring it back down.
For those that don't know us already, I'm Dan. I run Stadia Source. We've got Ashley on the right of me, Tommy down below, also a Stadia Arcadia, and Duncan, who you might know as One to Escape and the dude that does the outspoken things and the community updates on Reddit. So, yeah, how you guys been?
It's been an interesting week for us guys. I think we've had a lot going on, a lot of which has taken me up until about 10 minutes ago to get up to date with. But no, I'm good.
To talk about.
Just a wee bit. Been just a wee bit of news this week, and there's even news happening today as well, with the Spitlings news, which happened there a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, I noticed that the release date and what have you was announced. I think we'll come to that at some point anyway, because obviously we've got a few things to talk about. We've got a schedule. So first thing I'd like to ask you guys is what we've been playing this week. Ash, we'll start with you.
No, we won't.
No, we won't then.
Okay, I'll go then. I'll start it off. I have been playing some Destiny 2 on Stadia. I have also been playing some Children of Morta on the Xbox, which I've been really enjoying. So it's a nice wee indie game. My usual slate of
a bit of Destiny until my pro died, and then Red Dead 2.
Ash, you missed your cue, man.
By an hour.
Sorry, carry on, Duncan.
I've just had my usual slate of Spire and some Pro Evo as well, and been playing a bit of Borderlands as well.
Brilliant.
So I have restarted again Borderlands. Obviously, this is the first time that I've started it for Stadia. Bar the 10 minutes I played it.
Shitty internet. I did talk. I'm sorry.
But other than that, I've been playing quite a lot of Supercross 3. I just find that game really good fun, actually. I'm still surprised that it wasn't just a one-off with the stream that we done with Meg. I'm really enjoying that. And the typical NBA 2K20, I just can't stop playing that game.
Ash, do you want to have a turn now, or?
I'm going to guess by how still he is that he's not playing musical statues.
I'll kick him out for the time being. He'll be back shortly in a minute. I can probably fill in for Ash, actually, because he's probably been playing absolutely nothing because he moved house recently and he had to get new internet. And I think the speeds that he was getting was not good enough to play Stadia, so he's not actually been playing anything really. Personally, I just completed Tomb Raider, the Definitive Edition, just now. My father-in-law came around and basically forced me to complete it. And
twisted your arm.
Yeah. He's nearly halfway through the third one, so it's a case of catch up, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing to do. Then, like you said as well, I've been playing Supercross 3. Again, with it just being part of what we've been streaming recently, we've obviously all had a chance to play it and realize it's actually a good game. So,
yeah,
I think I played that with like Eddie and Meg the other day.
I started the career mode on it now just because I thought that, unfortunately, he's back. As usual, we have difficulty finding any form of multiplayer games on these games. Essentially, if you don't play one of the top player-based numbered games, you just wait for a very long time to get multiplayer games, which is perhaps our biggest issue at the moment. But hey, that could change relatively soon. But yeah, the game itself was flawless. I haven't had any issues with it yet. In fact, some of the occasional kind of bugs, if you like, in the physics have just made the game better.
Yeah. Well, it's a case of, is it bugs or is it meant to be there? Because I know, for example, if you've got a wet track, you can slip off easier than what you would if it was a dry track. So, and obviously us being primarily from UK and Ireland, we obviously opt for the wet tracks because that's what we used to. But yeah, I've also been playing some Destiny 2 as always. Iron Banner's been on, and also Borderlands 3. I jumped into Meg's stream with her not too long ago and kind of showed them the ropes. So, Ash, are you in time with us now, or are you still 10 minutes behind? Yeah, I'm going to kick him. Bye.
Is it even on DSL? It's more like dial-up.
I think he's like hooked some sort of jack of potato up to give him in his internet, really. Yeah. So moving on, we'll move on from that. If he joins us and is actually with us, then we'll go back to that. So I want to talk about Duncan's just his palm. Who said you can't get comedy when you come to our stream as well? Eh? It's not just Glory that can do the comedy; we can do it too. So let's jump right into the games that are coming that have been announced for Stadia. SteamWorld. Have you had an experience with these games? Are you excited for them? Will you be purchasing them?
I have played both of them, so I have. Or sorry, the two SteamWorld games, and I like them. They're not going to blow doors off for a lot of people, but they are good games. So I like them. I'm looking forward to the card game version, which is coming to Stadia as a pro game.
Is that the quest? Is it quite heist? Sorry, I've forgotten what it's called now. It's really bad. I should share that first. I did notice on one of Bill's shows that he spoke quite in depth about the 4 different titles and what they. Well, essentially, you've got Dig 1 and 2, which are just quite straightforward Metroidvania platform side-scrolling games, but the art styles look really good. I think I'm going to like them. I've never played them before. I did once they obviously showed us what these games were. I went on YouTube and checked a bit about them, and I think they look like good fun, solid games to get to a platform like this where I feel like there probably are going to be some of the games that people target more not being directly in front of their TV all the time or their PC. Maybe if they're traveling around and they have access to either on a tablet or on a phone, I think these games will go down really well from that side. I'll play it at my PC because that's where I spend most of the time when I'm playing them. But the Hand of Gigamech looks pretty damn cool as well. That's I love those style of games, so I'm really looking forward to these.
So I personally haven't really seen anything about these games. Maybe it's just my ignorance, but I'm actually looking really forward to them. They look like they could be some quite fun games. Are they multiplayer, do we know? Or
I don't think so, no.
They're just single player games.
I would think they're all from their single player. No, SteamWorld, Dig 1 and 2 are pure single player. The first one's a bit more procedurally generated, while the second one was actually handmade, the levels. So I do remember some things from them.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those games, well, 4 of those games that we kind of jump into and realise they're actually quite fun, which we need some fun games on Stadia. We've always said from the beginning that you don't just want first-person shooters and whatever. So, yeah. These are a good get.
We've got a lot of first-person shooters. Nothing against those at all. They're always good fun, but it is nice to see that we are getting a broader selection now.
And just remember.
Sorry, go ahead, Duncan.
I was just going to say, remember we've got the AAA, if you're going to count them, AAA games coming next month anyway, which people keep on forgetting about. So we're going to have the mix. We're going to have the Doom Eternal. We're going to have the Crew 2, and we're going to have the Division. And probably you would think June 2016 as well. So we're going to have the mix of games coming now.
Yeah, that is a good point, actually. I think when people saw these games, they just thought, oh, more indie games. But we already have the quota of like the AAA games, you know what I mean, for the time being. And once these ones come out, we could well then start learning about the next AAA games and when they're going to come. So these are more kind of just fillers, gap fillers, in my opinion.
Which we knew we were going to get anyway, didn't we? The 120 titles were not all going to be AAA games. We were going to have a huge selection of indie or just small studio games as well.
I think if there was going to be 120 AAA games, we'd know what they were, because AAA games tend to, you know what I mean, be announced quite ahead of time, don't they?
Yeah, so they're years in development as well, aren't they? So
yeah.
The PR starts a long way before release date time.
Ash, are you with us again?
Hopefully. How's that?
Well, that was in time.
My God.
It was in time.
I'm using 4G, not Wi-Fi. No, for me,
I'll like
never.
Talking through a toilet roll.
Shut up.
Carry on.
For me, I've never played the games, but art style and the way that the game looks like, it reminds me a lot of the Don't Starve series. So for sure, I definitely want to give that a go because I love those games. So yeah.
I think with two of them also being pro games when they first come out, I think that will give people a kind of taste of what they're all about, and then obviously then if they enjoy it, they can jump into the other games, the other two that aren't going to be free with pro as well. So that's good that we're getting kind of almost like a free to play, as long as you're pro, if you like. So
yeah, and I just noticed that Zero Games in the comments said I think they count on us to be the first one, to buy the first one now and get the second one free on pro, and that's a smart move, right? If you're going to give people the first and the second game, and you're going to give them one of them free, give them the second one free. You're more than likely going to make them buy the first one to play it before they go into the second one.
good.
So higher lower than £8. That's how much it's on his Xbox at the moment.
£8
on Xbox.
Yeah, and I have a feeling they're going to be more on Stadia, and that might be something that's an issue to some people. I think we're probably going to see it around about the trials price, which is what, £15, £18, something like that. So I think that's going to be sort of the mark that we see these indie games come in at.
Yeah. Tommy, your volume's quite low apparently. I think it seems to fluctuate sometimes.
Yeah, I hate my mic. Hang on.
Oh, no worries. So if anybody's wondering, sorry, you can't see my head, but if anybody's wondering what these kind of games look like, we've got trailers for them on stadiasource.com, and also obviously Stadia put out a community update as well, which you can find them there, as well as a little bit about them as well. So yeah, definitely check it out. Let's bring us back.
I'll just do a quick check and see if that's better.
I mean, I can hear you all right. Let us know in the chat if you can't. So next up on the list, we've got MotoGP 20 coming up. So this, to me, could be another Supercross kind of, you know what I mean, in terms of the fact that obviously we all kind of had our own premonition about what it was going to be like. And then as soon as we play it, we were like, oh my God, this is actually pretty good. So what do you guys think?
Same development studio as well, so I think that's a safe bet. It's a game that I've played some of the MotoGP series games throughout the years just as fun games to play, and I genuinely found them more fun than car racing just because of the different dynamics and the fact that you fall off the bikes, whereas you can very rarely fall out of a car. And they just cause some fun crashes. So I think you're right. I think we're going to see, again, similar 20-odd player races and a lot of chaos.
Another interesting thing about that one was it's another game which was just announced by themselves. It wasn't Stadia announcing them. So we're starting to see the trickle of games getting announced without any Stadia involvement. So it's a positive.
I think they need to set that precedent because a lot of people have obviously got a bit upset at the fact that Stadia aren't the ones that are announcing the games. And some of us have said, well, it needs to come from the developer, really, because they're the ones that need to announce it whenever they're ready to do so. So the fact that these have done that, I think MotoGP is a big enough franchise for them to be able to kind of announce it on their own without Stadia's help. Whereas some of the other games, I think they get Stadia to announce it for them because Stadia have obviously got a bigger reach than what they might have on their own platforms, if that makes sense. So,
which is a little bit crazy when we think of, we don't know how many players there are in Stadia, but how new it is. You would kind of expect that the reach probably wouldn't be that different, but clearly it is, because these developers would not be letting Stadia do it for them if they could reach more people easier. It's nice to see, though, that these two titles really are pushing out and going, right, we're here, we're doing this ourselves. I think people will be happier seeing studios push their content out rather than Stadia.
We've got the Baldur's Gate news next week as well, and they've given themselves an extra half an hour for it. And there is rumours now of early access, which seems to have happened today. Haven't actually got it in front of me, but I think it was IGN. We're talking about this might be going into early access.
Yeah, actually, I read that earlier, but I don't have the link to hand, unfortunately. Was that for Stadia or? I know it said PC, but I wasn't sure if it was for Stadia as well.
I don't know. We'll probably find out next week.
Am I right in thinking that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be a Stadia first game?
I don't think it was announced to Stadia first. I think it was just announced coming to Stadia. We might have to check the wording again when it comes.
Yeah, I know I had never actually officially seen it, but I've certainly seen hearsay about it potentially coming to Stadia first, and I feel like it's almost too big a title for that to happen. Well, not so much it's too big a title because it hasn't been a title for a really long time, but it's a title that will draw massive amounts of attention.
It would need massive amounts of money to become a Stadia first title. Are they willing to put the money in?
So I have actually got the article here from IGN that we were talking about. It does mention Stadia at the very bottom, though, I did notice. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to PC and Google Stadia, which is weird that they would kind of say Stadia instead of, you know what I mean, places like Xbox and PlayStation.
I think that might, on that one? I think it might be because it just hasn't been announced for anywhere else. Stadia might have the marketing deal, or do how all these things go. So maybe it just hasn't been announced. So, like what happens with PlayStation 4 games, they were on the E3 presentation, and then it just says PlayStation, and then it takes a couple of weeks or months for it to actually circulate down to the others. So I wouldn't read too much into that at the moment.
Okay. No, you're right on that one. So, back on the topic of obviously MotoGP, again, we have a trailer on StadiaSource.com as well. You can find that over there if you're wanting to have a look. I don't think it had too much gameplay footage in, from what I remember, but definitely worth a watch anyway. Anything else to add to that, Ash? Or
for me, not much. No, with MotoGP, I'm not a huge fan of bike games in general. So for me, unfortunately, that is one that I'm going to stay clear of.
I think it was Chase that said we need Road Rash. I don't know if you guys remember that from the old Mega Drive days, Genesis days. You can put someone off the bike, but I don't think that's going to be in there, to be fair. But
more entertaining.
Dream, right?
Yeah, and didn't it get relaunched though on PC?
Road Redemption or something?
I think it did, yeah, something like that.
I guess it's not out of the question to see that kind of title make its way to Stadia. I think I'm I know I said it a while back, but I think we are going to get a lot out of these 120 games. I think a lot of them are going to be indie style games or arcade style games, because if they get to the end of this year with 120 games, regardless of what they are, people are just not going to be able to say that it doesn't have games anymore. And if indie studios can make money on this platform, that's a good sign again then to the bigger developers.
Yeah, you've got a good point there. Next up, we are going to be talking about the pro deals on Stadia. Yeah, we had quite a few pro deals in the past week or so, didn't we? I think if I just bring it up on the screen here, we had Kine, Wolfenstein, all versions of Red Dead Redemption 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Borderlands 3, NBA 2K20. That's a lot of sales. So have any of you taken advantage of any of those sales, or?
No, I'm skint. I would love to get Xenoverse. I love the Dragon Ball games. They're just fun. They're not solid games at all by any means, but they are good fun. But no, at the moment, I just can't afford to be sinking more money into these games just because they're on a pro deal.
I'm looking at Kine and Red Dead later this week when money's come into bank accounts. So I'm hoping. That's what I've got my eyes on. But I think I will be picking up a couple of the games anyway.
See, Kine is tempting for £10. We did obviously I got paid on Friday, so it's drawing me in a little bit. But I think I've still got quite a big back catalogue that I've not even really started to play just yet. I think I started to play the first half an hour of Final Fantasy. Come to think of it as well. So before I start buying games just because they're on sale, I need to kind of work through them as well. But on the flip side, you think to yourself, well, you know what I mean? Might as well get them on while they're on sale.
It's that Steam thing, isn't it? My Steam library is like nearly 200 and something games, and I haven't completed more than 15 of them.
Yeah, I'm around the same with that. It's like the game that I've played the most was Garry's Mod, which last I checked was quite a few hundred hours for that.
Yeah. I don't even have Steam installed on my computer at the moment. Since the last reformat that I had to do, I haven't touched it at all. The only game I've played actually on my PC is Fallen Order, and it was purely because I didn't know how long I was going to have to wait to see that game on Stadia, if we even do see it on Stadia. I succumbed to the peer pressure and bought that, but yeah, I don't game on the PC anymore. Just time and updates.
I think the appeal with some of these is that sometimes they can be like more than half price, but then at the same time we saw with Borderlands, didn't we, that this is actually cheaper than the first Borderlands 3 sale we had.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I can't see it coming down much more than that anytime soon. So it's a case of grab them whilst you still can, because they're probably not going to be that cheap for quite a while now, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to be fair, once base launches, maybe the first month we still see it, but I don't think we're going to be getting the heavy hitting discounts that we're actually getting now. They can't sustain selling some of these games at below half price. That's not making the developers the money that they want to see out of it, and there's no way Google are subsidizing it by that level.
Yeah, I think one of the topics we're going to be moving on to in a bit will probably elaborate on why we've just said what we just said, and that is the pro expiring. So I'm quite aware that obviously by the time we have got to this news, a lot of the other Stadia content creators have already covered it and they've already put their 2 cents in as well. I'd still like to talk about it though, just because, you know what I mean, I want to know if there's anything you guys want to say that hasn't already been said, or are you guys going to be renewing? Have you renewed?
I have renewed.
Same, I renewed.
But
as soon as I get paid, I'm renewing again.
I was thinking of letting it lapse until the end of the month, so I would be in a better billing sort of position, because it's the worst time of the month, because it's right in the middle between my two when I get paid. With do you want to start with the news about this? I think that we're going into the Destiny 2 thing now, or we're leaving it for a wee bit.
That was next on the agenda, but you can segue into it if you like.
Destiny 2, they have shambles to the game, and they were trying to be too clever for months and months ago, and they should have just said, we're paying for multiplayer, just like Xbox, just like PlayStation, free-to-play games, you'll have to have your subscription. Instead of saying multiplayer is free, they put themselves in the corner and they look a bit stupid.
I'd agree with that sentiment. I think it's... Part of me thinks that they just didn't want to put up that barrier to people buying before it was a thing. So, like, well, once they announced that you could have Founders Editions, and then when they ran out and they moved to Premier, but nobody yet had a physical subscription or controller or the hardware. I think at that point they were just like, you know what, we need to break this at some point. If we say it now, we're just going to risk blocking people after what we've already told them. Now, that's not a good thing to do, because people are going to get annoyed at you for that. However, had they said it right from the very beginning, that like free-to-play games may exist, don't have to say that they will, but multiplayer will be locked behind a pro subscription, nobody would have batted an eyelid at that, because it would have been identical to every other platform that exists. I said it in the chat on Chase's stream today, that even free-to-play games require a purchase of some sort. You need something to play it on. So even if it's on mobile, Fortnite on mobile, you still need a mobile phone to do that. So you're still going to pay a couple of $100 or a couple £100 to have a phone that you're going to play a game on in the first place, or you're going to have purchased a console. Now, while you might not have done that specifically to do this, it was still a purchase beforehand. Whereas Stadia, when it's base, people will be able to play on that platform without playing anything up front other than purchasing whatever title they want to play. And free-to-pay doesn't fit into that. The whole thing that people have been talking about for GeForce Now when it's free-to-play is that they're not going to generate any income at all from people on that free 1 hour tier. And it doesn't work. But people don't seem to like that idea existing on Stadia.
Exactly. It's really, really strange the way they've backed themselves into this. Anybody wants to give GeForce Now a try, I recommend going to the Epic Game Store, get an Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That is completely free, and you can link it to the GeForce Now and you give it a go. GeForce Now is not as good as Stadia. I had more glitching in GeForce Now in a 2-hour session than I've had in 3 months on Stadia, but it's perfectly passable. So
I think it's been said to death, hasn't it, about like no one's forcing you to choose one over the other. The two can complement each other. You can switch between the two. There's not a problem with that. And I know we're primarily a Stadia related website / YouTube account, but that doesn't mean we can't highlight obviously the positives when it comes to things like GeForce Now and xCloud as well. So I think you bang on there, Duncan. Yeah.
And the people who are making fun of GeForce Now and going because of lost the Bethesda games, they're not seeing the big picture. If GeForce Now goes down, that's not good for Stadia. Stadia needs competition from everywhere. And I want a strong GeForce Now. If GeForce Now is stronger than Stadia, I mean, Stadia has to respond to get better. You need competition to drive everything going forward.
I know you commented on my tweet that I put out about this, saying that GeForce Now is getting an awful lot of negative attention from people for no real reason. Like we shouldn't. I know it's probably part of the gamer culture and stuff, but we shouldn't be praising any other platform losing something. It's not good for everyone. The more that somebody loses stuff, the more likelihood is that's going to come to your platform of choice eventually, and people don't like that. It's a perfectly good complementary service for Stadia. While Stadia lacks the bigger games that you can get somewhere else, then you can use the two together and make the most of cloud technology.
And just remember, this is what is being overlooked. Does anybody? I tweeted about this earlier in the week. Does anybody know how many games are in the pipeline for GeForce Now?
1,500.
That would be right.
Yep.
1,500. Not 120 coming to Stadia. It's 1,500 are in the queue to come to GeForce Now. So it's easier to get the games onto GeForce Now. So it's just something to be worried.
I'm guessing a larger portion of them will be previous games that have already been released. So
yeah,
it's like we said before about you know what I mean, how far into back catalogs do we go for Stadia? Do we start releasing loads of the older games, in which case people are going to say, well, I've already got this on Xbox, I've already got it, why am I going to buy it again just to play it on Stadia? You want to be looking forwards, not backwards. But I think one of the biggest things that's been annoying me, and I think we spoke about it on Stadia Super Saturday, Duncan, and that is the amount of trolls that there are currently when it comes to Stadia online. I was obviously just trying to find some information out about Stadia, and next thing you know, I'm getting comments from people basically saying nasty things to me and about Stadia. And obviously I can deal with that, it's not a problem, but it's still not nice to see. Yet I don't think the GeForce Now news has been met with the same type of reception. It's still getting, you know what I mean, a lot of praise, when it's like, well, if that was Stadia, you'd be laughing in our faces, but because it's GeForce Now, it's okay.
I think that comes down to the Google association, really, doesn't it? A lot of people don't like Google for some weird reason. They assume that anything Google touches goes to the Google graveyard. Well, I'm pretty sure that still 90% of people are using Chrome or Gmail. Yeah,
Android,
yeah, the largest mobile platform on the planet. I know I use Docs and Sheets over using Microsoft Office these days, so it just seems bizarre to me that people don't like it because it's a Google product.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. It's like even with xCloud, like the amount of people that were trying to talk bad about Stadia, being there like, oh no, xCloud's 10 times better, when most people at that point still hadn't even tried it, let alone trying Stadia, and couldn't really compare the two between each other then.
I have to say this, I love your cup, Tommy. Your M&M's cup is outstanding. Just going back to about the trolls and whatnot, I have noticed over the last couple of weeks there's a lot of Stadia trolls themselves. Stadia, I've got to say, fanboys, fangirls are now starting to go do the rounds, and they're nearly as bad as the trolls on the other end. So everybody just needs to chill out and enjoy what they want to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoke about this before, but some of the experiences I've had since Stadia have come out, you know what I mean, with you guys, with other people such as like Chase, that I've had on Stadia have been the best experiences I've had whilst gaming. I think there's room for everybody, and if you don't like one, then just don't play it. It takes more energy to come on and bash something. And as Chase said earlier, I think in his live stream earlier, someone commented about the fact that he was getting downvotes on his video. He says, all you're doing at the end of the day is helping me. It's still a view. It's still an interaction with my video. So go ahead. But I just don't see what the appeal is, really, personally.
Yeah, we said his name too many times as well. He's here now.
Beetlejuice.
Hey, Chase.
The Godfather's in the house.
Yeah, we're just talking about you. Your ears must have been burning. But yeah, I just don't get why there's so much hate. I don't think any of us have ever badmouthed GeForce Now or xCloud, and we won't. I think we do tend to run like opinion pieces on the website that, you know what I mean? We don't tend to do them very often because I want to keep the website purely related to factual information about Stadia. But sometimes it's nice to get a conversation going just to see what other people's opinions are. So hence why you'll see them.
I think when GeForce Now was first announced, I was a little bit taken back by the official release of it, knowing how long it had been a thing, and I'd been in the beta previously and had very, very mixed results with it, much worse than this version that is now available to everyone. And Stadia being so new at that point, I was a little bit like, oh, what's this going to mean for us? But quite quickly after trying it, I was like, nah, this isn't competition. This is just another thing to use, another asset to have on board.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're going to touch on the Destiny 2 thing where the document was discovered that founders were meant to have Destiny 2, the collection, forever. I'm not sure if anybody else has seen that.
No, this is new to me.
On Reddit, the original document the original press release, it's not just founders get Destiny 2, the Founders Edition, while they continue to be pro. They just got Destiny 2, the collection. So it's another whoopsie from ages ago.
I guess.
Well, who knows if people keep talking about it? Yeah, I mean, they might have to backtrack on that, like they did with the Farming Simulator Pro thing. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yep, where they had it the wrong version. They advertised the platinum version when it was only meant to be the base version.
So was this? Obviously, I haven't seen the article. So was this actually an official PR piece that actually went out, or is this something that was gonna go out and didn't go out, and now it's been found?
It was out.
Oh, okay, yeah, big problem.
Yeah, fully advertised.
Well done, Google.
I don't know. I just think it just made sense to me that, you know what I mean, if the base game is pro, you know what I mean, locked behind a pro subscription like it is on Xbox, for example, behind Xbox Live Gold, that's absolutely fine. But to make it so that people can't buy the base, because I know you can't buy the base at the moment, can you? The base game, you have to do some sort of like upgrade to get it.
Have to buy one of the DLC bundles, yeah.
That bit is strange to me. But if you could buy the base, I'd be absolutely fine with it. But yeah, like Duncan said, if that's what they were advertising, then they need to make good on their promise.
I think the thing is that it doesn't make sense to buy it, even if they put it on there for whatever amount. Realistically, it's going to be better to just renew your subscription.
Yeah, just so we're clarified, Destiny 2 and Destiny 2 the collection are two separate entities. They're two, because there seems to be a lot of people saying Destiny 2 is a pro game. Everybody knows it as a pro game. No, they're two separate things, and yes, they're the same name, but the Destiny 2 the collection is the pro game. Destiny 2 is a separate game unto itself.
Yeah. Are we all done with this topic? Do you want to move on to the next one?
I think it's been
done
flogged
to death.
quite a lot, hasn't it, last week?
Yeah, that's why I'm conscious, obviously, to move on to the next one. I think, like I said earlier, a lot of people have already said their comments, and I don't want people to come here and feel like they're just obviously getting a repeat of everything that they've watched throughout the week anyway. So yeah, swiftly moving on then. Mobile support for Stadia has been expanded to more and more phones. So my phone was included in that. What about yours? Ash, I know you had a Pixel phone anyway, so you don't count. Shut up.
Damn it.
Yeah, I thought that was a Windows phone for a minute. I was about to laugh, but
Oh, I used to have one of those.
yeah, me too. Terrible.
Did you sign up to the beta, Duncan?
Yep, I've put my name into it, but You never know. And it doesn't mean you're going to get the streaming. It just means you're going to maybe get the app earlier. So if they're testing new store features, you might get the new store features. It does not guarantee streaming. That might be something completely different.
It would be nice to see even just the implementation of allowing you to use Google credit or store credit and so on. I know Tom from Sounds of Stadia has had this issue through with them and had official responses back, but it just seems ridiculous that you can log into it on your Apple device with your Google account, and yet for some reason you can't use credit that you have there. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, that's really strange that you can't just buy the credit. They need to get that sorted as soon as.
Yeah, I think one of the topics we're going to be moving on to in a minute as well is continuing on that route of like beta access as well. So like Duncan said, just because there's a beta for it doesn't mean it's definitely going to be game streaming. So I think people kind of need to reel back their expectations a bit, because I can see it now. If people get accepted to this beta and it's not game streaming, we're going to be seeing a lot of backlash yet again. And I think this is one of the biggest causes for backlash in Stadia is people, whether you blame Stadia for not being 100% clear or whether you blame people for setting their expectations on their own to be too high. And then when those expectations aren't met, there's backlash.
I think in this instance, you blame the latter of that. This beta has got nothing to do with Google. This is Apple trialing Google betas within their ecosystem. It's not going to be on Google to be saying, oh, by the way, if you're on iOS and you want to try streaming on your phone, you need to be signed up to this. They're never going to say that. And yeah, I think unfortunately we are in a position where people are really starting to blame Google and Stadia for things that are out of their control.
It's like when Stadia first, I don't know if it was when it was first announced when it first came out, but a lot of the media sources were there stating that Stadia was meant to be a Netflix for gaming. Yeah. Nowhere did it ever say that was a thing. People just assumed that's what it was because it was streaming. They didn't fully look it up to find out all the facts. And I imagine it'll be the exact same thing with this.
Yeah, and just remember, there's going to be limits as well. If you look at the xCloud beta, there's only 10,000 people, and you have to use a test flight program. I'm sure if anybody's used a test flight program here, it's a bit fun at times.
I've not actually tried it yet, but I'm aware of it. Yeah, I think Ash, you've got a point there. It's a case of, I think when people say that Stadia is the Netflix of games, I think what they mean is how quickly you can just select a game and it be there on your screen. Because obviously Netflix is similar to that. You pick something you want to watch, you press play, next thing you know, you're in and you're watching it. I think people get confused when they think that it's you pay a subscription, you get access to all these games. And again, we've talked about this as well to death. I think people just need to kind of check their expectations before they start to judge, personally.
Research. Use the Google platform.
Yeah, Google is your friend.
As long as it isn't through the assistant.
So moving on then, like we said about the beta rumors as well. So there's been a bit of news floating about a potential Uplay Plus beta for Stadia. Now people have got to be careful, obviously, what they say when it comes to this, because a lot of these betas are under NDA.
I don't have to worry.
You also don't get to test it either, so I think I'm going to bring up the article on Stadia Source here. Just 1 second. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah,
try and zoom it. I think the key word here again is speculation. And when you sign up to this test, people obviously were noticing that you were being asked for your Uplay Plus details as well as your Stadia details. Now, I've said it before on Chase's channel as well. Correlation doesn't equal causation. And
bingo.
Thank you. Just because it asks for your Uplay details does not mean it's anything to do with Uplay. It could be a red herring. It could just be they have to employ certain tactics to make sure that the questions that they're asking don't give too much away. Because obviously once you fill out this form, that doesn't guarantee your acceptance into the beta. So they have to be careful because the questions were technically, in my opinion, public knowledge. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, there was nothing within those at all that even remotely suggests that you would have had to do some form of research to be able to answer anything. It's widely... In fact, there weren't even really questions about anything other than, have you done this before? I mean, just a slight sidestep, because I don't want to say anything, like I signed the NDA on this, but just using Uplay when it came out on the PC, like the first day that I used that service did not work. The next day I went to it, it worked flawlessly. It's just the thing that put me off that, and why I only done the 3 month, was every game that you could download and install was at least 40 gig, and that meant that I had to sacrifice 4 to 5 hours of waiting to play it. This service on this platform would be awesome, but I personally don't think the beta is going to be about this. I think it will be something else.
Yeah, I think it's going to be some game or games. I don't think it's going to be Uplay Plus. I think it's still too early for it. There isn't enough games on the system to justify Uplay Plus at the moment. And just while we're talking about Uplay Plus, I will go back to the article I wrote a couple of weeks ago. Uplay Plus does not mean you're going to get all 100 plus games from Uplay onto the system. There's too many old games, too many games that need a mouse and keyboard, which would need to be completely reworked for controller. And controller support is mandatory in Stadia games. So this could be Uplay Plus, but this doesn't mean Uplay Plus is coming in soon. It could be just starting the baby steps to get the stuff up and running. And from that article on Android, which Android Central was it? Or
Android Headlines, if I bring it back up for you.
Android Headlines, it actually gives you the date and times of when it's going to be up and running. To me, that's not saying Uplay Plus. That's a game, because it's only up for an hour and a half or something one day. Or maybe someone's leaked that. It's a really small window. So I don't think it's going to be Uplay Plus.
Well, you know what? I think it would be Uplay Plus under that, but I think what you would get is Uplay Plus with one title. Maybe
potentially, yeah, just to see how it integrates. And yeah, you could be right. Another thing I'd like to throw into the mix as well. We've actually got an interview with a developer coming very soon, and one of the things that was mentioned as well was the fact that one of the biggest hurdles that you have to jump when it comes to developing games for Stadia is the GUI. Because Stadia can be played on a mobile, you have to make sure that the text on the screen is legible on a mobile screen, which is obviously the smallest of screens that you could be playing on. So, like Duncan said about the back catalogue of Uplay games as well, you've got to make sure that all of those games that could potentially come from Uplay to Stadia are compatible in terms of the GUI as well as the controller support and the mouse and keyboard support, like Duncan said. So that's one thing to bear in mind as well.
Yeah, and with Doom 2016 supposedly making its way on at some point, I guess they have to think about the other kind of screens that people are going to try and get Stadia to work on. We've seen can it run Doom is a real thing. It's not a meme anymore, and that's started happening on Stadia. I've seen people hacking all sorts of devices to get Stadia to run on it now. I don't know how far away we are from seeing Stadia on a calculator, but it's going to happen.
But then on the flip side, it's not up to Stadia to support those devices. So I think if all of a sudden they realise, oh my God, people can play it on calculators, now we have to support calculators, I don't think that'll ever come. So, but yeah, it is interesting to kind of see what people are have managed to get it working on. I think I've seen someone manage to get Destiny 2 working on like a really, really old, like black and white TV that was like that big or something.
I'd say the hack that got it to work on the Switch was something that would be very, very appealing to a lot of people. It's not going to happen, not officially, but it would be immense.
If you look at the latest, okay, we're going to go slightly sideways here. PlayStation's last email survey, would you want PlayStation Now on the Switch?
I think, though, that would be more likely for Sony, being that they're the... well, Nintendo don't have it either, but I don't think they care. I think they're the only big competitor that doesn't have any form of cloud themselves. I mean, yeah, you got PlayStation Now, but that's not technically cloud, is it? It's just remote access of a single PlayStation.
Just kind of going back to what Duncan said about the beta potentially being a game. You've got to remember as well that Ubisoft already have Assassin's Creed on Stadia. I was going to say Steam then. They've then got Watch Dogs coming out later on this year, next year. So it could either be potentially a new Assassin's Creed or even Watch Dogs.
Or Gods and Monsters, or Ghost Recon with... what is their Ghost Recon game coming out? A new one, not Ghost Recon 6 Siege, a different one.
Oh, not Ghost Recon.
Or not Ghost Sprint or
Quarantine.
yeah.
Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six. Sorry, I knew what game it was in my head. Just got it wrong. Rainbow Six game. There's a lot of games out there. I could be trying with some of the older games, the 360 era games, do like a Prince of Persia maybe, to see if that will work.
Well, that would make sense because of the VR launch for the new game, but they're supposedly doing the same thing with Splinter Cell, right? There's a Splinter Cell VR title coming, so there's a good chance that we could see one of those two IPs rebirth. And I would love to see a new Splinter Cell game. Those games were awesome.
Yeah, we could sit here and speculate all day as to what kind of... I mean, Ubisoft have got a massive back catalogue of games that they could bring along. So if you have any ideas in the comments, be sure to let us know. I think someone mentioned Deus Ex. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Otaku.
Yeah. Speaking of the comments, then I kind of want to start wrapping this up now. So if you just want to go through some of the comments and give a few shout outs and discuss what was being said. So, hello, Jay. Just wanted to say thank you for being one of the best sources for Stadia news. You're welcome. We try our best. Don't subscribe to that guy.
Well, it's like one that I've just been here from Happy Cloud Gamer. 4 years Pro Stadia is $480. If that's true, then obviously when the next Xbox or PS4 comes out, that's the price of a console alone, let alone all the new games that are coming out. So, what do you say for
that? Where was that?
I'll counter that for you. £20 a month, 18 months Xbox Game Pass. There's your Xbox One or Xbox Elite, whatever, Series X even, because you can do that. That's Xbox All Access. Just to put a counter thing, because that's you can go down in game and get that now, where you get an Xbox One X for £20 a month, and you've got nearly 18 months or 2 years of Game Pass with it as well. And you know me, I just like stirring things, but they're yep, exactly. But and just putting out all access is also a way in for it's over here in the UK and it's over in the US, because if the Xbox comes in really high over the £500 mark, I think £500 mark is going to be the limit. I think they're going to be pushing that.
Yeah, I can't see that it's going to be cheaper than the previous generation, right? What technology gets cheaper as it gets better?
Definitely. SteamWorld is a decent franchise, Jay Smith. I think they count on us to buy the first one now, then the second one. So this is obviously in regards. I'm kind of going back to the earlier chats here. So
here's a question for you: will that be our pro games this month, or sorry, for March?
No.
And just to get people thinking. Are we still thinking Doom?
See, I don't think Doom.
Doom's too late. It should have been this month.
Yeah, I agree with that because nobody's going to go and play Doom 2016 when they get Doom Eternal. The Doom 2016 is a great game. There's nothing wrong with that game at all. But the advancements between Doom 2016 and Eternal are oceans apart, and I think that you would do it a disservice. And once you've played Eternal, going back to play the other one, if you haven't played it previously, you're not going to finish the game.
Weren't they coming out in tandem? Or
I wouldn't be surprised
you got the other one.
I would be surprised about that if you buy one, you get the other one. But then pre-orders, I thought that would be like an easy win for them. Because we're now starting to see some of release dates coming in, and just so you can buy the games early and all that. So where's the pre-order system? That's going to come in a bit more in the end of the year here with the Avengers, because if you're losing out on pre-order bonuses because Stadia is not listed as yet.
Yeah, that's something I was going to mention as well. With because I even quickly checked on Steam earlier. They've got the pre-order bonuses for the standard and the deluxe version. And as far as I'm aware, they've even got the pre-order bonus of getting onto the beta, which again, there's still nothing for that for Stadia. I think a while ago when Dan was having a look at Stadia's site when it first came up, he found a bunch of different links through the site. And from what I remember, one of them was pre-order. So it's coming at some point. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. So GDC, I think we touched on this on the first. Was it the first roundtable we did? Yeah. So we've already seen the schedule for what's coming for Stadia. So there's going to be something, I think, as to what that is. I don't know whether it would be more games related or focused on the hardware behind Stadia. I think is probably going to be the more likely thing.
Connect before or after GDC?
After.
I think they'll introduce these topics at GDC, and then people will kind of go away, mull them over, and then they'll have more questions, and they'll need to do a connect after that to reiterate or to elaborate on them. Personally, that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see a lot of technology talk, which means very little to the general consumer, but it's going to excite the people that are more tech enthusiasts. And whatever we're going to see from the likes of Amazon, we know what their schedules are now. They're going to talk about some kind of cloud, whether or not it's... I'm hesitant to believe that they're going to announce anything to do with the platform that they may have at GDC. I don't think that's the biggest platform for them to release on. But I do think we're going to get an indication into some of the things that they're looking into. And I think that's going to, again, for Stadia, I think we're going to see some advancements there that almost prompt to Connect to explain it to people in a more consumer-friendly focus.
I think we're going to get a wee game or two there to whet our appetites, just to demo some of it. No, not thoroughly explained, but just here's how it could be implemented into a game.
Yeah, so we already touched on the March Pro game predictions just a moment ago. Road Rash on the 3DS, I'm assuming.
3DO.
He's got a new console none of us have ever heard of.
I remember the 3DO. I didn't have one, but I do remember them.
Do you think Baldur's Gate will have more success on PC?
So I answered this one in the comments with my opinion. Generally, PC outsells everything else, doesn't it? Other than, well, it depends on the game, but there's just a huge player base that game reaches to, and a lot of the people that have played the originals would probably also have played them on PC. So I don't know.
I think it all depends how people view Stadia going forward. If this is semi-exclusive to Stadia for like 6 months to a year, it may boost the numbers up a bit for people who want them to play on consoles.
Yeah, so Doom 16, as we just spoke about that as well. So in terms of having a smaller backlog, Ashes liked having a smaller backlog, but these pro deals have started creating a large one again. Definitely, yeah. I think I've bought more games than what I did like in the last year of me playing on Xbox on Stadia. So I can agree with you on that one.
I don't even know how many I've actually got at the moment. I think it's probably 11.
Although I did find out my father-in-law's got more achievements on Stadia than I have so far. So
how does that make you feel?
I know I used to be an achievement hunter on Xbox, so
Oh, no, I have 13. That's not too bad. It's been out for 3 months.
I think GFN did release GFN to make a move from xCloud and Stadia, but think it is great to play PC games on GeForce Now. Yeah, definitely. Never experienced connection problems on Stadia, but on GeForce Now I have a lot of problems. My first experience of GeForce Now, and I put this entirely down to my own error. I'm not blaming GeForce Now at all. I played Rocket League and it looked like I was playing on... It looked like a PlayStation 1 game. It was that pixely. But I think that was just because I didn't take time to adjust the settings and get it just right. I think that was probably my fault. I don't know about you guys, if you...
For me, do you want to go first, or?
No, you were.
That's fine. Ooh, yeah, as well for me, even though I don't have the world's greatest internet at the moment, I've still been able to play Destiny or Red Dead 2 in about 70% good quality at times, short times, but at times. Whereas with GeForce Now, I've tried that, even just No Man's Sky, and could barely do a thing.
For me, I was playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate games free on Epic. Uplay game or Ubisoft games, which are linked to Uplay, work on GeForce Now. I played it for about 2 hours. I had some hitching and glitching, but it was perfectly playable. If it was on the big screen, arguably I'd probably be playing more GeForce Now than I would be Stadia because of the game selection.
Yeah, that's not a bad point. And also, I think the thing for GeForce Now is the worst thing about it is actually loading a game up. Logging in and loading a game up is by far the worst part of that, and they've got to know that. I mean, I don't remember it being that bad actually when I previously used it about a year ago. When you compare that to Shadow, and I've not used it myself, but I've now seen the what you told me about before, Duncan, like the overlays of being able to pop into games without doing all of the standard sort of way you'd access it on a PC previously. That's really smooth. That's a nice GUI to put over the top of it, and I think GeForce Now could benefit an awful lot from doing that.
Yep, they could.
So Chase stopped by to say he wanted to show some love, so thank you for that, Chase. I don't know if he's still in the chat here, but subscribe to Stadia Talk as well. He is brilliant at looking at Stadia and just cloud gaming in general from a business lens as well. Laughing at my
the business lens. Yeah, I
the Stadia Talk lens.
Yeah, you're just trying to go for a bingo yourself by just by doing it yourself.
Yeah, people vote with the wallets, business lens,
blades.
Do what?
Server blades.
Discourse, healthy discourse.
Yeah, discourse is healthy. Chase, we love you. We're only joking, man, but
we do. I did comment when I left his show earlier that he should rename to the Stadia Talk Lens.
Definitely. Cloud gaming is a virtual land grab right now, but the platforms with the best tech, best reach, and deepest pockets will rise to the top. I think the deepest pockets one's a bit hit and miss because I think a lot of the people that are dealing with cloud gaming at the moment, Xbox, Google, Amazon, they've all got massively deep pockets. It's just, I think, how much they are willing to spend from that. I think Google are probably reluctant to spend as much as what they probably should be paying out for Stadia, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I would say that if we went back a generation, that I think the PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 swap over, I think Sony were very close to being on the edge of not continuing consoles, and the PS4 boomed big time. But that was also to do with voting with the wallet, right? It came out that much cheaper than the Xbox did, and it helped sell an awful lot of units.
Yeah, games are going to play a massive part, and we're seeing that with the things coming off the systems, going on the systems. And we didn't even mention about the trolling where xCloud did this week, which I thought was really funny. Were you aware of what xCloud put on their system?
Journey to the Savage Planet, if I'm not mistaken.
And who owns that studio now?
Google.
So I thought that was really funny.
I didn't know that. I knew the title, but I didn't know that Google owned it.
Yeah, and it's still in the air about whether that game's even going to come to Stadia, given that it was basically in development before Google acquired that studio. So they have to keep their previous contracts and arrangements with other platforms. But there's been nothing to say it's coming to Stadia yet. So
I just find it really funny that has made its way onto xCloud.
I feel like there would have been money chucked at that specifically to get it as well.
In some ways, it's funny to kind of see these little back and forths between, do you know what I mean, the two companies. But sometimes I just read it and go, that's pathetic. Like you've basically just done that, you know what I mean, just as a kind of middle finger. Grow up. Do you know what I mean? Personally, that's how I feel. So,
see, for me, I'd like that. It depends how they're done, because a lot of them can be hilarious. It's like a while ago when the Pixel 3a came out. They literally did it by having two photos on screen. The top one was the newest iPhone with the 3a underneath, saying, "Why'd you buy this when this is $399?" Like with it being
when Xbox do these type of marketing techniques, I think they must know that Stadia are going to react in one of two ways. Either they're going to just go all out and try and combat it, or they're going to retreat with their tail between their legs. And in some ways, I wonder if it's almost like they're trying to goad Stadia on so that Stadia does retaliate. And it's like we've said before, competition is a good thing. And maybe Xbox, they've obviously grown closer to people like PlayStation over the years, as opposed to being two separate entities and like at loggerheads with one another. They've kind of grown a bit more closer over the years, I've noticed. So I wonder if it's a case of they want Stadia to succeed just as well, because it keeps them on the edge of their game as well.
Yeah, I think there's a definite science to that as well, right? That they know exactly what they're doing, and it's quite a clever way of doing it. But we do need this competition, because it does mean that we get better, quicker advancements from it.
Well, also it means that people like Xbox don't become complacent. Then it keeps them on their toes. So it could. I don't know what their intentions are, but it could either backfire or it could help them. So I guess time will tell. And do you guys believe all the exclusives will just be indie games? Tommy,
this is just going back to something. We can go back to that afterwards. I was just going to say, when you look at the companies, that doesn't. Can I zoom in on that? Does that work? I don't think it's going to work, is it? Has that made it bigger?
Yep.
That's what she said.
That's the kind of thing. I love seeing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Thing is, it benefits both companies as well because it becomes viral.
Yeah.
And then both benefit from that, in my opinion. So,
with the exclusives, I think Stadia have paid for something big. It's going to be a paid first-party game, like in the ilk of the Tomb Raider or Rise of the Tomb Raider, which Microsoft paid with a 6 months to a year's exclusivity. I think they've done some deals with that. I wouldn't actually be surprised if it is Tomb Raider. There's some speculation.
I'd love to see the next Gears of War come out on Stadia. I know it's not going to happen, but that would be perhaps Halo. Yeah, that would just be like the ultimate.
F you.
Yeah.
No, I think the biggest one for me would be since the company who made it has now died out now, but bring back Fable, an awesome series which most people can't deny. It's dead in the water now, so definitely something that. Oh, Duncan doesn't like that.
Fable E3 this year looks like it's a lock. It was meant to be there last year. That's what Playground Games have been working on.
I was just going to say, I know that Lionhead is no longer a thing, but I know that the rights for Fable got bought, didn't they? So it'll be interesting to see that. And they made that MOBA game as well, didn't they? That died really quickly.
Yeah.
Released. It was just in beta, and then it just killed it.
It wasn't that good, unfortunately.
Yeah, because there was also I've just remembered, there was going to be that other Fable title as well. The same thing happened, didn't there? We've seen some content for it, like early gameplay, and that was going to be an online, almost like an MMO type thing, and that just disappeared almost overnight.
Yeah, Ashley, you need to do your homework there.
I'm just going to cry.
If you're looking for some sort of exclusive sort of thing, I think you could get something like iRacing. I think iRacing would be amazing on Stadia. iRacing's like the big professional sort of racing game. It's where pros actually go on to it, like F1 drivers are on it, and it's like full simulation stuff. So that do something a bit left field could work well.
Indies are cool. Hi, Eddie. How you doing? So I think we've pretty much caught up on the chat now. So, yeah, I think we've gone over what I kind of wanted this stream to be. So if we just want to wrap up, is there anything else anybody wants to say? Is there anything you want to add?
Don't say it, Duncan.
Dan's already said it, so I don't need to say
it. Don't say what? What we're not supposed to say?
Well, you can't say it now, can you?
I don't know what you're on about.
Ash has already done it in the chat anyway. The hashtag don't subscribe to our Stadia Arcadia. I get it on every stream I do now. It's
your stamp, innit? It's your thing.
It is. And it's
mine's this.
Well, so thank you.
Yeah, no, please stop, please.
So, just a bit of background. Me and my friend Smad have basically just discovered the Stream Deck. You know, the I can't remember what it's called now.
Oh, so we can have a
voice changer.
Yes.
So literally, when we're playing Stadia now, literally all you can hear is just stupid sounds.
And
yes.
I tell you what a lot of people don't realize as well, that you can use your phone as a Stream Deck. You don't have to buy the Elgato Stream Deck. Yes, it's a lot easier to do it with that, but I think it's like £2 a month. I think I use that now. I was going to go and buy a Stream Deck, but it's a lot of money for essentially automating macros. But I mean, I'd love one if they want to give me one. Please go ahead. But I use my phone, the voice changer is great fun.
Will this be on podcast platforms soon? Yes, it goes to things like Spotify, and we use Anchor as well. So all the platforms that distributes to, it'll be up on there. I think the first 2 episodes.
Call Tommy there.
Sorry.
What did you call Tommy there?
Forgive him, folks. He's Irish.
So do you guys want to shout out your Twitter handles or your YouTube channels? I know Stadia Arcadia, the person you're not supposed to subscribe to.
Yeah, don't subscribe to me, but do. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Arcadia_Stadia and YouTube/Stadia Arcadia.
I'm just happy to be here.
But if you Google that, you won't find Duncan.
Yeah, and obviously you can find me on at Stadia Source as well, and stadiasource.com, which is obviously the reason why everyone is here. Ash, you don't care, you don't matter.
For me, it's Twitter, Lordmore, which you can't see because you've got Stadia Player 1 right there, but there he is. Yep, there. Shut up.
Right, so thank you for being a part of this stream. It's been an interesting one. It's been a funny one. So, thank you for joining, and we'll see you on that next one.
See you later, guys.
Don't subscribe to Stadia Arcadia.
Goodbye, everyone.